Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Now, I know you've made your resolutions this year. Have you stopped them yet? Well, if you've got one of those, what do they call them? Life coaches. I know a lot of life coaches. They really help you to get from point A to point B, making your own self accountable. How do you do that? When I say I'm going to clean up my house, I actually write down on my calendar housekeeping, but it never really gets scratched out. But you love what you do. And I love our next guest because she says success is an attitude. Yep, we're talking this morning to our amazing president of aviation camps of the Carolinas Incorporated, author, speaker, Navy pilot, American Airlines pilot. Yes, it's Brenda E. Robinson. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Woo! Okay, we're going to energize people. You are going to energize people.
Yeah, we have to get this thing started.
Get this life started, please.
Absolutely. First of all, you have to laugh every day, so that's important.
Okay.
Don't leave that out.
Okay, laugh is number one.
That's right.
Why do we allow people to get in our energy and control our life?
Right.
I guess we'll get to that, but step one is to laugh.
Yes, I feel it makes me it calms, makes me happy, and you can take the high road, you can take the low road, and both of them might bring you to success. But if you take the high road, you feel more satisfied. If you take the low road, then you have to keep doing the low road over and over again, thinking that you're going to be satisfied, but you're not. You might be successful. So I mean, if that's the way you want to roll, fine. I just want to laugh about it. If you're going to work that hard at it, I'm just going to laugh at you, not with you. And then we're going to have a good time.
Because there are some people who can just kind of glide, and that's where they're happy.
They're happy. Yeah, they're happy, gossiping and being upset, and and just miserable. And they are miserable, and they're not going to feel better any other way. But change it around a little bit of happy. Okay. Laugh at something. Get some dog pictures, cat pictures.
Something. Comedy Central.
Yeah.
So, when you decided to become an airline pilot, first with the Navy,
right?
That was in the 80s.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I started in the Navy. I got my wings in June of 1980, and that made me the first black woman to ever do so. But everything that I did up till then, I was the first black woman to do so. So in college, aviation, aeronautics degree. And then when I went into basic training, which is Aviation Officers Candidate School, I was the first one to attempt that. They looked at me and they go, she's not going to finish that. Well, I was just talking about the fact that I'm a shy, type B personality. And that's not the personality they're looking for pilots. So the fact that I was just kind of the person that sticks to stuff, and do it. It might be hard, and I might be complaining, and I might be crying, and I might be calling somebody. But I'm going to actually get this thing done, because that's pretty much how I put one foot in front of the other. You have to, because everybody's going to have to deal with that brick wall. It's coming. So why is it always a surprise? It's going to get hard. If anything's worth doing, I hate cliches, but if it's worth doing, if it's worth doing, good. What is the word for that?
If it's worth the while.
Yeah, it's going to be worth the trouble if it's worth doing. So not everybody can do it.
Age 9, you did this. Well, you didn't become a pilot at age 9.
No, 11 is when I got my first airplane ride. I was 11 years old. Now, I don't do model airplanes. I can't tell you any history airplanes. All I know is those were the glamour people. They were on the airplane going someplace impressive, and I wanted to be on that airplane. I didn't care what I was doing. But I didn't know that I thought that I was going to run up the stairs and turn right. And that's when we had stairs to the airplane, not the jet bridge. I want to run up the stairs, turn right, and do my job, because I am going on this flight. Never did I think that I was going to go up the stairs and turn left and do my job.
It was a big thing. For me, I tell my friends, I tease them, I say, I'm so old. How old are you? that when I flew, people smoked on the plane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my entire Navy career was smoking. Everybody got to smoke on the airplane, certainly. And even when I joined American Airlines, they were still smoking, but they, eventually cut that out. Because in the cockpit, they could smoke no matter what the rest of the airplane was doing. So it was like miserable. Sometimes the captain would ask me if it's okay for him to smoke, and I would give him the, well, if you have to, but not. But the other ones would just say, get out, and I'm going to, because I got to smoke a cigarette. But you know how it still smells like cigarette smoke. So yeah, this was the early years, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so take me back through it.
Yeah.
11 years old, you said, I'm going to get
Right.
on that plane, I'm going to fly, because people that are cool do it, and they
Mm-hmm,
do.
mm-hmm.
And then, but your
Yeah.
personality is type B.
Yeah.
So you stick to everything.
Right, right.
So all the accomplishments that you've made in your life,
They're
like
kind of
you
quiet.
yeah, but you were that kid, that girl, that cool.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now they're cool, right?
What's that?
Geeks that
Oh,
read.
oh yeah. Well, and I love technology too. You know, unfortunately, if I had seen technology before I saw flying, I might be a geek in technology because you know, I have all kinds of electronics at home. You look at me, I have everything. It is wired. I am totally into that. I can do everything with my telephone from here and reach my home and do all the stuff that I need done at home. I love it. I love technology. And so I see kids and I go, you know, they love technology, and then there's the STEM programs, and then there's aviation. I put all of that together and I go, come here, you're going to like this. Let me show you some aviation, and you can put it together any way you want. But that's, you know, that's how I get the kids involved. But I love technology. I think it's best.
You put everything together?
Oh, yeah,
One
yeah.
plus one equals two, and then, but then they get it, right? With these camps. How long are these camps?
The camp is actually 1 day long, but by the time I get them finished ripping and running and up the stairs, down the stairs, and up the flight line and down the flight line, and we get simulator rides and air traffic control visits, and we had the bomb squad at my last camp, and K9 unit, and Sky 3 camp, helicopter flew in. Then we have the Air Center Med, you know, the Air Evac system. They talk to us. The maintenance department talks to us. I mean, everybody just kind of combines and collides. Then we have the Civil Air Patrol. They're the best, actually. They're trying to get me to fly with them. The Civil Air Patrol. And anybody can join the Civil Air Patrol. But for grown-ups, you're going to have to know how to fly to join the Civil Air Patrol. But if you're a student, they will teach you. And then you can go through all of that. You can become a cadet, and you can get all through the flying. So what I do in my camp is I show them all this stuff. So they can go, I didn't know that existed. And I go, okay, you know, another one for you over there, Civil Air Patrol, you know, another one for you, Air Traffic Control. And so I start to get them to see things that I call them secret careers. They would have never seen this. Their parents don't know about it. The public doesn't know about it. Only us in the aviation community, we get it. We know about it. And it's like the only person to show it to them is my 1 day camp. And they better have their track shoes on. I get chaperones to come and help me, and I tell them, you better have your track shoes on. And before I got some better shoes, I tell you what, every day that I would get done with that, I'm like, oh man, my feet really hurt. Yes, that was a lot of walking. We had a lot of stuff to do, and you know, and I don't have time for, you know, sitting around. There's no sitting. I didn't figure out a time for them to eat. I did not schedule any bathroom breaks in there. These poor kids are like, can I? Yes, no problem. Go ahead.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
So it starts like really early in the morning, really.
Yes, we start at 8:15 in the morning. We get a pep rally going, and then the next thing you know, we're out on the flight line visiting somebody. You know, either maintenance or medevac or somebody. So yeah, we start, and I go to the all the participants who are going to talk to the children, and I said, okay, you got 15 minutes. These are teenagers, you know, so don't get all long-winded or anything. You got 15 minutes to tell them what your job is, what you like about your job, and what's the most exciting thing you've ever done in this job. You know, getting all detailed and whatnot. That they don't really want to hear that. I didn't care about that when I was looking at the air traffic control tower. I just saw the most marvelous thing I have ever seen in my entire life, and that got me to college. College got me to the military. Military got me to the airlines. You know, so I'm not an air traffic controller, but it could have been. You know, it was just a catalyst to get me started, and that's what I want these folks to do. I said, show them something. Tell them what's cool about what you do, and they will figure out how the tough parts, you know. Once they get it in their blood, they go, oh, okay, well, I know this is going to be hard, and I'll get through that. I'll figure it out. One of those kind of things. And that's all I want them to do. I don't need somebody to say to them, oh, but it's really this hard, and oh, you're going to have to work this hard, and you're going to have to study this, and you're going to have to know calculus and physics. And I was like, that's not true, by the way. I was going to say, you got to get it through college. Oh, college requires you to be educated. In order for you to be a military officer, pilot, you have to be a college graduate. You can be a college graduate can become an officer, and an officer can become a pilot. So you're going to have to go through that stuff. So just get ready. Get ready.
So it's a school. Well, I guess if you go through the armed forces, there's no money to pay.
No, because there are two pipelines. Armed Forces, which is really great. You got to get in there before you're 27 and a half, but you do have to have perfect sight. Your physical, fitness has to be just right. But that's your 1% of our pilots. You got the civilian way of doing it, just like everybody else does. We learn our first airplane, which is usually a single engine prop airplane. Everybody learns it. And then you move on to a bigger plane and a bigger plane, and you get more flight time, and you get more experience, and you get more certificates, and then you get to the point where people are hiring you to fly their airplanes, and then people start hiring you to fly passengers, and then you get into bigger, and and your credentials add up. And then one day you meet up with the people that went through the military, and you're all trying for the same job. But let me tell you something. We are so short of pilots right now. If you are a pilot in any location and all you have to do is start building up flight time, you're going to be hired by the majors. And if the majors are hiring, that means they're sucking people out of the regional jets. Well, then the regional jets need pilots. And let me also mention to you, you remember NASA?
Yeah.
Does anybody remember the fact that just because they park their space shuttles doesn't mean that NASA closed? NASA is so short of engineers. They're dying. They will take young people who are interested in education in the engineering and the STEM programs. If they find enough interest, they will figure out a way to get you the financing you need to get through school, and then they'll turn around and hire you. We're talking hundreds of thousands of need for the aviation, engineering, STEM type of program. So if you went in this direction, this is the way to go. You have people waiting at the door to hire you. You can't go wrong going into this field.
I'm excited for you. Our guest here is just first African American female Navy pilot. Yeah, she is a type B personality, Navy pilot, American airline pilot, wide body pilot.
Yes.
So talk about that wide body.
Wide body will be, those airplanes that have 2 aisles? You walk in and you show the ticket to the flight attendant, and the flight attendant, okay, cross over here and go down that way, and then you'll find your seat on that side. Well, that's the airplane that I flew. It has 2 aisles on it. So I flew the Boeing 767. But I also, at the same time, I was flying the Boeing 757, which is a single aisle. So we call that narrow body. So any airplane that has a single aisle is a narrow body. But once you start to get bigger airplanes, so then it's a wide body.
Time is the essence in your business, isn't it? Time. Yeah. In broadcasting, time is important because we got to start on time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, commercials have to be so much time.
Right.
So in your business, time is vital.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So wow. So was it kind of lonely at the top when you were a pilot?
Well, I loved being a pilot. I loved the fact that I was actually flying the airplane. I'm the one who takes off. I'm the one who flies it across the country because I was doing transcons. I'm the one who lands it on the other side of the country. That's what I was doing. My father, he made me laugh. He says to me, "Brenda, does the captain let you ever fly the airplane?" I'm like, "Dad, are you kidding me with that question?" Because most people, he's not the only one. Most people think that second person over there is a body sitting up front. The 2 pilots that fly that airplane have to pass the same check ride. They are equally qualified to fly that airplane. The difference is, well, the captain, of course, is responsible for the whole airplane. And also, when they land on the ground, the captain has to take it because he's got the steering mechanism for steering it on the ground. That's like the only thing. I fly the airplane. I navigate it. I do all of those things. I go over the flight plan. Whatever has to be done with that flight, I'm involved in that. I'm not just there as just to look pretty.
And she does look beautiful. Okay, so you have your own plane. And how expensive is that for someone to have their own plane? Or because the stars, they buy that plane together.
Yeah.
They feel like they have that own
Well,
plane.
let me tell you, I have some inside information.
Oh, okay.
I would not buy an airplane. Not a bad thing. If you got lots and lots of money, you don't know what to do with it. Hey, airplane looks good. But I have to tell you, and that's why the maintenance part is so cool. I tell kids, they look at maintenance as like, well, that's not a big deal. It's just, airplanes sitting there all in pieces, so what would I do with it? You get paid more to become an A&P, which is an aircraft and airframes and power plant certified mechanic. You get paid more doing that Then you do all that hoop jumping I told you about with the going the civilian route for the flying the airplane. So someday, way down the road, once you got all your credentials as a pilot and flying, and you're just starting to pick up those jobs, well, the aircraft mechanic, he's already got a great home, you know, a great income. He's got a family. He's established. He's got weekends off, you know, whatever their schedule is. Nice life. Yes. But airplanes require these mechanics. For every hour that an airplane flies, it's going to need at least an hour of maintenance, whether it is oil checking or during the pre-flights or actual maintenance that we required on the airplane. And you can't just have any maintenance. You have to have a FAA certified maintenance. Then there's 100-hour maintenance. And then there's all these other A checks, C checks, B checks. You know, these all cost money, big money. If I had nothing but money, maybe I would consider having an airplane. But the knowing what a mechanic has to do in order to keep that airplane up and running, I'm going to go buy a boat. If I'm going to stick my money down a black hole, I'm going to do it with a boat.
Because at least with a boat, you can float.
That's right.
With the plane, you're going down.
Well, no, not that. With the plane, those guys are perfectly good at what they do. I'm very confident that when I get in that airplane, it is safe to fly. I mean,
but if we don't keep the maintenance up, you know. Okay.
But you have to, though. You have to. No, there's no option. If that airplane flies, the FAA is involved. It has to be airworthy. It has to be.
So they do check us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You don't do anything without doing it the FAA way, up to FAA regulated standards. Yeah, this is not a car.
And fuel is no joke. You think we complain about fuel for our car?
Yeah, it is more.
Mm-hmm. It is more. So
it is more.
You gotta have a lot of money.
Yeah. So when you start buying, 30,000 gallons, you better be going someplace important, and you better be filling up that airplane in order to pay for that. So yeah, that was one of the higher expense parts, of our recession, having to deal with the price of gas in airplanes and the price of that ticket in order to fly, to get yourself on a flight. So yeah, that was very difficult.
It's Brenda E. Robinson. Don't you love her? Yeah, we do. She's the president of Aviation Camps of the Carolina Incorporated, Navy pilot, American airline pilot for that wide body airplane. So when you do the camps for the kids, let's go back there.
Yeah.
You're inspiring me. I want to come to the kid camp, but you do adults. You talk to adults as well.
Well, I don't have the camp for adults, only because the folks that do the presenting to the students, they're looking for our next generation who's going to go up and can actually use this information and possibly want to go flying. Young Eagles does that too. I forgot to mention them too as well, because Young Eagles, which is EAA, Experimental Aviation Aircraft or whatever it is, they bring kids together as well. They're my next step, the people I send my kids on to. So once a quarter or something like that, they'll get the kids and take them on a free orientation flight. I couldn't even afford that. That's like a $200 flight. I used to have a drawing so I could get one kid in a camp and maybe go on one of those flights. I couldn't even afford that. And now I can get the Young Eagles. If they want to join the Young Eagles, they can get that with them. And same thing with the Civil Air Patrol. They do that kind of thing. So that's what the camp is good for.
Where have you been all our life?
Well, let me mention this one thing. I've been flying airplanes for over 41 years. I have flown 12 different airplanes. And right now I also am a flight instructor at Flyrite, which is in Concord. I'm an instructor on the Super King Air 200. And the reason that connected is I took my kids there for a camp one day, found out that they were doing that. It's full motion simulator. It's an airplane that I was an instructor on in Guam. I was the flight instructor, the unit evaluator for all the pilots in my squadron in Guam on that airplane. And I'm like, what are the chances, And so I looked at them and I go, well, that's cool. I used to fly an airplane. And they go, well, that's cool. We're looking for instructors. And so I'm working for them now.
I was going to say, you're probably making a nice, you know what, just because of your curiosity, because of your path.
Yeah.
You're living the life. You're living the life.
Well, it is kind of like I'm on a tear. I call it setting my hair on fire. I do need to slow down just a little bit. But the camp is the most enjoying part of it. And the adults do want to join the camp, so I limit it to 3 per day. The camp is 1 day long, but I have 2 of them. One for the 4th through 8th graders, and then I have one for the 9th through 12th graders. And with the 9th through 12th graders, I also do the the Boy Scouts Aviation Merit Badge. Nowhere else can they get that in one day. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe you could. But I tell you what, it is unusual.
Yeah.
It is unusual to get that merit badge in one day. And the reason I can is because I have brought all the talent together to show these kids all the things that they're supposed to touch. I get them to touch, and then we get to walk around, and we do all of the requirements that their manual requires. So once they get done with me that day, I can sign them off. I sign off the blue card. I am certified to do that. So if they want to come to my camp, they can get that aviation merit badge that day. But I will say, I make sure that they read the manual before they get there. This is not, I'm not spoon feeding them. They're supposed to know it. So if they don't know it, then we have other ways of handling it, and then they get their blue card after that. But I just want to let them know, because I've had the greatest Boy Scouts coming to my camp, and they're having a wonderful time. I had this one Boy Scout came to my camp in October. He had so much fun. He came back in December, brought his little sister, and so he wasn't doing the Boy Scout stuff. He was laid back and having a good time. So I'm like, wow. Even he shocked me, because it was still one day camp.
So how many days in the week do you work the camps? Because you probably have.
Yeah, well, I put the camps together once a quarter. That's a lot of work just to bring all that together. There's a lot of moving parts, and I tell people it's like herding kittens. Aviation is an outdoor sport, and most of the people that I have come and talk to these kids are on call. So they're on call. They could be gone in a moment's notice. The weather could change, and they couldn't get in or get out, because I've had the Navy come and fly in to see the kids. And when I had the canine unit, they came over there and they got a call that they had to leave. So I have many more people scheduled than I have time for all of them to actually talk to the kids. But it all seems to work out. But I'm pulling my hair out in order to when I'm watching this day unfold. But it's like constantly we're on the move, and if somebody falls out, somebody falls in, and so all of that works out. But yeah, it's a real busy day.
One per quarter, and it's probably on a Saturday, I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, no, I put it during the week, because Saturdays, that's a time where it's really low, movement as far as the aviation community is concerned. Those guys go home too, especially my maintenance guys. I don't have any maintenance guys to talk to on the weekend.
They're key
because they go home, huh?
They're key people.
They're key, yeah. So the air traffic controllers, they'll be on they're 24/7 and stuff like that. But they during the day, I usually have it during the week. Sometimes I have it during a school day. Sometimes I have it during their breaks, their Christmas or their spring break. Now, when I have it during the school day, it is officially a journey. Was it an educational journey or a field trip? You could actually go to your principal and ask, "Can I have that that day for this field trip for my child?" And that's my aviation camps of the Carolinas is a field trip. So it works out fine unless the kid has a test or something major coming up, like SATs or something like that. You're not going to get that time. You're not going to get off from my camp. But I try to work around that. I don't, I try to make sure that there's nothing really, big that's happening when I decide when I'm going to schedule the camp. I also do custom camps. So the Boy Scouts or the Boys and Girls Club or the Girl Scouts or anybody could call me up and go, "Brenda, we want a camp just for our kids." And I go, "You got it." And so then we just decide where, because my camp is portable. I've had it in New Jersey, up at Cape May, New Jersey. I've gotten a call from St. Louis. They want me to have the camp over there. But I've also had it at Rock Hill, Concord, Monroe, Charlotte, and and any other airport I can find around here. All I had to do was find the director, the airport director. We start to hammer it out, and then I do all the work. I just, I say, "Okay, give me your permission, give me a classroom, or, sell me a classroom," and then I'm off and running. And that's how I put the camps together. So I can do it at any time. I just schedule my own camp per quarter, but anybody can come along and ask for a custom camp.
Yeah. Pilot for 41 years or 40 years?
Over 41 years. Yeah.
Wow.
I can't even believe that. Because when I retired from American Airlines, I go, "Okay, I'm done with flying now." People looked at me, "Oh my gosh, how could you possibly give up flying?" I'm like, if you have flown for 35, 40 years, you think you'd still be doing whatever job it is that you had? Everybody starts to move on after a while.
Well, we think you get to fly to Hawaii, you get to go to anywhere you want, but normally when you're flying, that's work.
It is work. It is work. Everybody thinks that you press a button, you got your autopilot going on. So that must be all the pilots do. It's like, well, it's like watching you have to. It's like watching a child. You know, you might have that autopilot on because it's supposed to reduce the workload for the pilots. But that doesn't mean we're not working. It means that we are staring at you doing it while we're doing all the other things like navigating, talking on the radios, doing our checks and all of the stuff that we're supposed to do. We still have to do all of those things. We just have to make sure that the airplane is going where we wanted to go every minute of, every second of the day. Air traffic control is with us all the time, and they can see us by way of the radio indications that we have in the airplane, what our altitude is, when we turn or when we don't turn, if we climb or descend when we're supposed to, when when they ask us to.
Oh, they're right in your ear.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes, they see us all the time. And we're not allowed to talk to other pilots. There's like thousands of pilots in the air at the same time. We're not allowed to talk to each other. I mean, there's no rule. We have no reason to talk to them. We only talk to air traffic control. They are the ones who are getting us from point A to point B, and we're also always in constant contact with them or constant radar with them. So they know where we are all over the United States. And as technology improves, which I love technology, satellites are going to be doing more of the air traffic controllers are going to have use of satellites as opposed to just the ground information that they always had before.
Is that going to be better?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Human error, right?
No, it's not about error. It's just about efficiency and more abilities. You know that Malaysian airplane that went down? We're all still standing around scratching our head trying to figure out what happened to that. If there were a satellite covering that area, that probably we would have known a lot more about what happened. So, I like the fact that technology is going to help us see more.
Okay. Do you still fly just for the heck of it? You fly an airplane just for the heck of it?
I don't, not really, but I had a young lady who was my mentee, and we just met from one of the folks that I have known from the airport over at Wilson Air. The director of Wilson Air introduced us, and she was just finishing up her flight training. So we had a discussion about one of her flights and what she needs to do next. She did exactly what I said, so I love that. I tell her to do something, boom, she does it. It's a mentor's dream. So she goes out and does what I tell her. She's getting her private pilot's license, and there was a event that I was going to that she was also going to last March. So she says, "I'm going to fly to Nashville. You want to go with me?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's go." So she flew us to Nashville. It was very cute. It was awesome. So we flew on over to Nashville. So now I call her my pilot. So I have pictures from that, and so it was very cool, very cool. And she is a go-getter. So I expect her to be working for the major airline here any moment now, because all she does is fly, and she's a real worker. Yeah, she loves it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go for salaries before you leave. If you can.
Okay.
Just a little bit of.
Okay, I will try.
Yeah.
Yes, I think kids need to know that. They get shut down when as if that's something that they shouldn't ask. It's not polite. Like, they need to know. Because the only people they see are the musicians, the sports figures, and the actors, and their price tag is all over the place. But they see them every single day. I get like one sliver of their life to tell them how great aviation is. And they need to know how much they're going to make, what kind of money, and what kind of life they're going to lead. What kind of life they're going to live. And all young people want to do that. Why should I go into that? If you can't tell me how much money I'm going to make, and I totally understand that. I do.
So maybe a little bit more than 100,000. Well, it depends.
Yeah.
You got to get all those that flight time in. Okay, so after we get all of our credentials,
I would say that after you start working for a major airline, you're not going to see those numbers really as a commuter pilot. But I think that once you're starting to get into the majors, the bigger ones, then you're going to pop above $100,000 per year, 120,000, 160,000. So you're going to be moving on up. Those guys that make like that 300,000, I'm not sure that there's any of them left. Those are the senior captains that are retired or about to retire. Those numbers are pretty high, and I don't see that anymore.
I was thinking maybe the private pilots for the Beyoncés of the world.
Yeah, well, they might make, I'm going to say, about $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. Yeah, I mean, it's not big, but it's,
exciting.
Yeah, it's worthy.
It's worthy. I'm getting ready to go to work. I'm going to get in the air and fly an airplane, right? That's just enough. She does a lot of speaking around the world. Success is an attitude. Success is an attitude. She has trademarked that. Is Brenda E. Robinson joining us this morning? First African-American female Navy pilot. Woo!
Landed on aircraft carriers.
What'd you say?
I landed on aircraft carriers as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's my first squadron out the gate. That's what confuses people, because they give me titles that I don't have, but I flew a cargo airplane on and off the ships, my first squadron. So I have over 155 traps, which makes me a centurion. So I don't know if there's any black women that are centurions, and tail hooker. I am a proud tail hooker.
Tell us what a tail hooker.
I'm a shit.
That sounds nasty.
Yeah, I know.
Tell our audience what it is.
Well, if it's Navy, I love it. But tail hooker is a person who has landed aboard ship, because you have to drop the hook on your airplane. It's off the back end of your airplane. Normally, it is up at all times that you're flying. But when you're about to land on board the ship, one of your steps is to drop the hook. So the hook has to capture the wire, but it's a cable, but we call it a wire. So you have to capture the wire, and that's what stops your airplane on board the ships. So I did that for about 3 years.
You got to do that the right way, right? Oh my
God! Yeah, every time.
Do you have somebody helping you saying, "Drop it now"?
No, you drop it way out. Yeah, that's not even part of the procedure. Yeah, when people ask me about shipboard landings, they go, "Oh my gosh, the ship is all bouncing around and stuff like that. How do you land on it?" I go, "Well, I don't look at the ship per se. I'm looking at the lens that's on the side of the ship, and the lens is like a video game. Way before video games, Pac-Man wasn't out when I was looking at this thing. So video games on the side. This is a little ball that moves up and down, and you want to keep it in the center. If it moves up, then your hook is probably not going to be low enough in order to make that hook. If it's low, if the ball goes low, then you're getting yourself in danger, and you could possibly hit what we call the round down, or the back end of the ship. And so if you are in any of those situations, you're usually told to wave it off, which is just go around, because we don't want to deal with you, because you're not. We can tell that you're not. There's a landing signal officer that knows the airplane almost better than you do, and they're on the ship. So I can't see them. I can't see people on the ship, but they're on the ship and they're looking at the airplane. So they even know by the sound of the engine. They can tell by the altitude, the attitude, the nose attitude of the airplane. If you're doing right, they'll call out, do this, do that, do this, do that, and you must do it right away. But you are looking at the lens. This is really your form, your reference. So that's how you come in and land on the ship. Well, I told my cousin that when I landed on board the ship, I don't see the ship. She told all my friends and relatives. She closed her eyes on landing. I go, that is not what that's not what I said. She assumed that because I'm not looking at the ship, that I must have, what did I do? Yeah. I said, no, that's not what I said. I can't walk that back. I cannot find all the people she told over the 30 years that I closed my eyes on landing, because that's not what happened, but
It's just a technique in a way that we never knew.
Right. So, I try to write about that.
Do you?
Yeah, I have a blog that I put out every week, and it's called Did You Know? And it's to tell people in Englishese as opposed to aviationese, and the people that are pilots, I go, don't write me. don't try to correct me, because I have to say it in a way that makes total sense to people. People that have never flown an airplane, it will not make any sense if I start using acronyms and talking about it, and all this hair information. But when a person gets on the airplane, they want to know, am I safe? That is all they care about. And so I tell them all the things that we do, why they are safe. What happens with a rejected takeoff? You're going down the runway and all of a sudden they jam on brakes. The passenger's like, oh my God, we're going to die. No, the pilots are sitting up there looking for any excuse to bring that airplane to a stop. A light, a click, a ding, anything. If anything happens, they will bring that airplane to a stop right away, because our thought is, if there's a problem, let's take care of it on the ground. Let's not take this thing into the air and try to figure it out. It could deteriorate to something else. Whereas the passengers think, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. But we're happy. we're happy to do it that way. So I'd like to tell people all the things that the pilots are doing. Like when I told you, but both of us fly the airplane. People don't know that. So every week I try to come up with something to tell them. This is what we do in the aviation world for real, so that you are safe. We go over long expanses of water. We're like, how you do that? Where do you go if you get into trouble? We got that all figured out. We map it all out. And we go to a certain spot. We think about it, and we call it in on the radios, and we have direct lines to the very next place that we have enough fuel to get to, even if we only had a single engine. Whatever our problem is, we've already got it mapped out. You say, okay, we're good here. Let's continue. And we continue on. And we do that all the way across the water. We're going across the Atlantic. We're going across the Pacific. We do this. It's not we just take off and go, hope we get there. That's not how it works. But people don't know that because they don't know, they've never sat in our class for navigation. So how could you possibly know that? So I enjoy being able to speak and to the folks that get on the airplane and say, how is this airplane safe? Is this safe for me? So that's what I like to do.
Brenda E. Robinson, yes, first African American female Navy pilot.
That's right.
Love it.
Yeah.
Most exciting. I can keep you here all day. We got about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
What's the most exciting place you've flown? I guess it just it's like a car ride, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell everybody.
Destination.
Yeah, I've lived all over the world, and I love living here in Charlotte. So I have to say I've done all the homework for you. I've been everywhere. I've done anything. Got the T-shirt for it, and I love living here more than any place I've ever lived. But I will say one of the more interesting places I ever lived was Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates. I had to live there for a while, because we were flying into Kuwait and Bahrain and Dubai and all of those places right after. And we were flying in and out during the Gulf War, but also after, because we're the ones who are doing all the supplying for everybody. So we're right in the thick of it. Nobody thinks of us because we're carrying passengers, we're carrying troops, we're carrying stuff, important stuff. So we're always in the mix of it. And then after it, we were also on the ground making sure everybody got the supplies that they need and moving things from point A to point B. That was our job. And that was like the most interesting. But, I've lived everywhere. I haven't lived on the African continent. I think that was like the only place that I haven't really stayed. Mm-hmm. But pretty much all the others, Hong Kong and Germany and Guam. Like I said, I had to look it up. When they were sending me to Guam, I said, I don't know where Guam is. I had to actually find it. I'm like, oh, Guam, okay. And then I loved it because I learned how to scuba dive there. They said learn how to scuba dive as soon as you get there. I took them up on their advice, and now I'm a snob because there's no place as beautiful to go diving as Guam. Someday maybe I'll get back there.
Favorite, most delicious, delectable food you've come in contact with? You need to blog for that one.
Well, I judge every place I've ever been by their food. Totally. It's like as soon as you hit the ground, okay, where are we going to eat? And, let me go get my favorite dish. But I will say that I'm a little Japanese lady. People look at me, they don't see that. I'm a little Japanese lady. You don't know that. And I love all things Japanese. And I'm a total sushi fanatic. I even have a T-shirt that says that. And I made it up because I couldn't find it, so I had it made. I'm serious. I had a whole club that I used to get together when I lived in San Diego. Every Thursday, we would go to the sushi restaurant, and I called it the Sushi Fanatical Society. I got everybody their T-shirts, and we all showed up. And if you're late, that's your problem. We would all be at the sushi bar, and that was like my favorite thing to do. I'm a total fan. But I liked everything else because not only fish, but I like the lighter kind of food. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Japan would probably be it for me.
She's African American. She's Japanese. She's everything. I like it. Yeah. We can get to your website. Yes, we've got to get to your website.
Yes, aviationcamps.org. For aviationcamps.org. If you want to get in on the aviation camps, if you want to write me, it's the same thing. careers@aviationcamps.org.
You have all this, how you say, fire.
Fire.
You have fire.
Yeah. I love it.
You're
about
22, 23, 24 years old in spirit.
Yeah. Well, working with the teenagers and stuff like that, I get to be a teenager. I remember what it was like to be a teenager. I think it's like everybody else forgot. They got into the big bubble of all the things that they worry about. So the teenage years or not quite, they're not as difficult. Well, if you are a teenager, it is still difficult. It's massive. You have all these people that are, on you about all the things you need to do. And then you have your peers that you have to deal with, whether they're good or bad. You got your clothes, you got your hair, you got your skin, you got all of these things to worry about. And then somebody says to you, you should get a career. So I was like, I don't have time to think about career.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get invited to the party on Saturday, and I'm trying to get my parents to let me go to the party on Saturday.
And drive.
Forget drive. Yeah.
And drive. Okay. I'm in love with her. You want to email her? It's careers@aviationcamps.org.
Yes.
Or we can just go to aviationcamps.org.
Yeah, and now if you want to learn more about me, I do have a webpage called successfulattitude.com. Successfulattitude.com, and that tells you more about me, because of course you want to have me for a speaking engagement, so you're going to need to at least have a chance to take a look at that.
She's
so,
a ball
and I have a lot of I want to say a lot of interviews. I put it on my media page because I'm very proud of that. So you want to see some of the camp stuff, come there, because I've had some of the TV folks
CNN
show up.
Interviewed you.
Yeah, well, I was just on Wilson's World not too long ago, so we had a really great 3 hours together, and it was so much fun. And he had a good time because he got to go on a simulator ride. So but there's all kinds of good stuff on there. CN2 from South Carolina. They came to one of my camps when I had the one down at Rock Hill. So that it's growing. Even this time I even had enough students in the camp that I had to actually limit how many kids were going to be in there for the one day, because I need to see their eyes. I need to know whether or not I'm getting through to them, and I can't have too many until I start training somebody. And when I hire somebody else, they're going to be an airplane, aviation knowledgeable, but a 13-year-old brain. I'm having trouble finding that combination, but that's what I need to help me with it. Yeah. To help me with the camp. Yeah.
Well, you know what? By the time you put the word out there and your network of influence boils over, you'll find the perfect person, because like attracts like. I like her. You like her. It's Brenda E. Robinson. Get to her website. Find out all about her. She is the first African American female Navy pilot. Yep. aviationcamps.org, or we can go to successfulattitude.com.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.